II forever, making life better and better. Apple II forever and ever, bringing the rainbow to you.
Okay, this is my 10th year at KansasFest. I first came in '96, and then my college boss told me I could not cancel the last day of the summer session, so I missed 16 years, but I came back in 2013, and I think I've only missed 1 year since 2013. The presentation is on these early years of Apple II on videotape. Now, the early years, they were always on VHS videotapes, you know, the larger video thing. More recently, things have been converted to DVD. But what I've done is I have about a dozen of these VHS videotapes, and I have chosen 17 tracks from this, and I put it onto the DVD. The DVD is completely full. It's these things hold 2 hours, and it's completely full. Now, today is really just kind of a sampling of the contents of the DVD. That is, the DVD is 2 hours, but my session is only 45 minutes. And so I'm going to play excerpts from the tracks that are on the DVD. One track I want to play in its entirety. It's about halfway through on the table of contents, and it's Apple CEO John Sculley talking about the importance of the Apple II. Now, John Sculley was kind of controversial during his tenure at Apple. He was the leader of Apple from '84 to '94, I think. And this video is filmed halfway through. I think he was doing a guest trip with the Apple Club in Japan. And he's just a speaker at the podium talking continuously. He also introduces the Apple IIc Plus, which is a good thing for this conference. By the way, of the 17 tracks, 5 of them have an Apple IIc or a IIc Plus on it. So it ties in with the theme of this conference. Now, so it'll just be a sampling. I mean, some of these that are longer tracks, let's say 5 to 10 minutes, maybe I'll only play 3 minutes of it, because I want to try to get as many different features shown even briefly up on the screen. Another thing is that the room does have this chronic echo to it, but when you watch your video at home, the sound and picture are perfect. I mean, the originals are all on videotape, but my videotape player is about the best that you can get. It's got 4 video heads, and the sound is recorded high fidelity at the spinning speed of the moving heads. And I think the sound is also in stereo on at least some of the tracks. But you'll be able to hear everything clearly when you watch the entire video at home. And I do hope that everybody looks through the entire thing at least once. I mean, and another thing is that with this DVD burner, it creates a table of contents where the viewer can jump around on the table of contents. You do not have to watch it all from beginning through the end of the 17 tracks. If you're looking for one, well, and as an example, one of the speakers is our KansasFest co-founder, Tony Diaz. I'm sure everybody's heard the name of Tony Diaz. He lived in the same town where my oldest brother now lives, Oceanside, California. But I think he had some accident swimming in the ocean, wasn't it? That was, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago. But Tony Diaz is featured for 5 minutes. There's another celebrity of Apple II. I call him a celebrity because he was the keynote speaker about 4 or 5 years ago. Roger Wagner. You'll see him. He wears exotic neckties a lot, and he explains how he got hooked on doing that on his video. Another thing is that when I wrote the proposal for this, I said it was going to go back to the earliest years of the Apple II. Well, the Apple II began in '77, and continued way throughout the 80s and the 90s and that. But it turns out I only have 2 really old ones. 2 of them are from '84. But I figured that some of you who have been here for extra years, or maybe you bought them in thrift stores, if you have any DVD videotapes from 77 to 88, please mail them to me. I will keep them only for 2 weeks or less, and I'll transfer it to DVD, because I think I could make up a second follow-up DVD, hopefully for next year. And if it's the very earliest years of Apple, I think it would be very popular. So most of these videos you see today are from the late 80s through the 90s mostly. Now, one of them, let's see, I've passed around these color photocopies from the Hollywood movie called 2010: A Space Odyssey. 2010, the year we make contact. On the table of contents that you'll see in a minute, it looks like that might have been the year when it was produced. No, it was produced in '84, the same year that the 2C and the Mac were first introduced. And I include that one because that movie would be the first time that an Apple 2C has ever appeared in a Hollywood movie. Now, but the thing is that the way it's described on the table of contents, not quite accurate. I spent a couple hours trying to correct that on the original master disc, but once the disc has been finalized, you can't make any further changes. But the year of the movie was 1984. The title of the movie was 2010: A Space Odyssey. Oh yeah, there's, let's see, pass the photocopy down the rows if you have one in front of you. Let's see, the next picture slide. Oh, I thought I would show the picture of the equipment on which I did it. The light-colored one on top, Gold Star, is the VHS video player with 4 heads and high-fidelity sound. The one below it, you can't see it very well. It's sort of a dark-colored thing. This is not it, but it's the same dark color. That is the Toshiba DVD burner. And if you're in education, you probably face the same situation I had before I retired 7 years ago from college teaching. And that is that many colleges and schools have scrapped their VHS videotape player. Everything, if they have a player at all, it's only a DVD. But I recommend the Toshiba DVD burner. I think I paid about $60 for it. There's about 40 of them on eBay right now. And you need something like this to create the table of contents and to do other changes on the video. But some of them being sold on eBay, they don't have the owner's manual. Make sure you get one with the owner's manual, because the owner's manual for the DVD burner is 102 pages, and it would just be impossible without having the owner's manual. Even the remote for it, I think I'm holding the remote up there. It's got a lot of specialized buttons for recording a DVD that just a player thing would not have. But anyway, I do recommend that. It's the Toshiba model number up there. And I bought mine about 12 years ago on eBay, but they still sell even the remotes brand new, never used. I've bought 2 spare remotes for the DVD burner. Okay. Well, let's see. Put the next slide up. Yeah, this is the thing that if you've got any of the early videotapes, mail them to me. My mailing address is on this disc holder here, so you can easily find it there. Mail it to me, and I'll get it back to you within 2 weeks. I just want to get a few more tracks. I've got right now probably enough good tracks for maybe 1/3 of another DVD, but I hope that I will get some mailed in, and you'll get everything mailed right back to you. Okay, let's see, what's the next slide? Oh yeah, For those watching online, I think next weekend, I will repeat some of this too, because some of those who are online can't make it here in person. Maybe they've got a collection of videotapes from the past. Let's see, next one. There's one more slide. Oh yeah, this is the thing at the end. I just want to do all of the talking at the beginning so that everything from now on will be the videos that are on this disc. Let's see. Wait.
Let me try hitting that. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, good.
We do a lot of refurbishing of Apple equipment.
Here's Tony Diaz,
We
one of
also
the
sell new
founders
stuff.
of KansasFest.
But we're a good place to get parts and older, hard to find items. And we're working on a few other new products for the Apple IIgs. This is an example
He
of
made a
don't ever tell an Apple
laptop
II user it can't be done.
2GS at home.
And when someone said, no, it can't be done, or it kind of could be done, I said, well, and after looking around and seeing and thinking about this for about 3 years, finally, I found the right box, and well, here we are. And I'm even thinking of hoping to get an LCD version working by the summer, and we'll have possibly even a kit for this.
Okay, so this is not just a one-of-a-kind machine. This is sort of a prototype for an actual product you plan to come out with.
Yeah, it's something I've been thinking about, and if it looks feasible, I will try it. I want to try to bring it to market, at least to some extent. I don't know how much or the availability and everything, but there's going to be some way of getting it.
Every summer in Kansas.
He's going to
Summer in
tell about the
Kansas City.
earliest years of KansasFest.
This year will be our 5th one. We rent the dorms at a small college called Avila College, and we rent seminar rooms at a facility that's about a quarter mile away called the National Office Machine Dealers Association. Terrific facility with great chairs and projectors in the ceiling that let us put Apple IIgs screens up on the wall. We sit around for 2 days and talk about everything great there is to know about the Apple IIgs, the Apple IIe, and then we stay up all night and party.
Basically, we're here at the expo showing off a video enhancement card for the Apple IIgs. Plugs into any slot on your GS. Basically gives you like 256 colors, scrolling, better animation ability. More or less takes like the 8 or 9 year old design of the GS and brings the video in kind of up to date. We're not actually shipping yet. We anticipate probably another 4 to 5 months minimum delay here. We're having to do a redesign, and it's probably going to sell for around $300.
This is Dream Graphics. It's the only 256 and 3200 color paint program for the Apple IIgs. It allows you to display, edit, and create the highest quality pictures for the Apple IIgs. The actual display process is we switch palettes in and out of the video memory for every line. So for every line, you have a palette of 16 different colors. Dual Tetris is a 2-player Tetris type game, and it'll go to demo mode in a few seconds here. But the way it works is it's a head-to-head game, or you can play 1 player versus the computer. And it's basically straight Tetris, except when you make 2 to 4 lines, the lines are passed to the opponent. There's a number of special pieces which allow you to shoot, fill, blow up, inverse the other person's controls, etc.
Okay. Let's see. I want to show the one number 2. Number 2 is from that Hollywood movie, 2010, The Year We Make Contact. And the Apple IIc is only on the screen for a few seconds. The user is out on a beach, and somebody mentioned a day or two ago there was no power cable hooked up to the IIc, but you don't see the screen on the IIc. You see him from a side view, but he's also got a IIc flat screen, which apparently was available even from the earliest year. Let's see. Whoops. Oh, wait. Oh, whoops, wait. Oh, yeah, there it was. Did you see the IIc? That guy was preparing to go to planet Mars. In the movie, the aliens have taken over one of the moons of Jupiter. Okay.
Apple Computer, the epitome of the American dream. In 1977, a company with sales of 774,000. Today, a company with annual sales approaching 600 million, on the threshold of being the youngest company ever to make the Fortune 500. At the root of Apple's success lies the world's first personal computer. The Apple II, small, inexpensive, simple to use. The first computer an individual could take out of the box, plug in, and run. Bringing computing down to a personal level. One person, one computer. Throughout the world, more than 750,000 Apple IIs are being used, the largest installed base of any computer manufacturer. With the most software and peripherals, all of this makes Apple the personal tool for a wide array of markets. Business, home, education, science. But the personal computer market has not stood still. Advances in technology and design occur almost daily. Today, there are more than 100 personal computers to choose from. Apple maintains its leadership role by using advanced technology to improve the industry's #1 product. To reaffirm its commitment to this winning product, Apple has enhanced the Apple II to meet consumers' and dealers' broadening expectations about personal computing. Apple has taken the Apple II, refined its design, and added some of the most popular features available on personal computers. The result is the Apple IIe, a personal computer that is more reliable and easier to use. In fact, it's the most personal computer.
In 1976, when Woz and I designed the Apple II, what we tried to do was use the state-of-the-art technology available to us at that time to create a product that had a greater value for a computer than had ever before been realized. And I think we achieved that because Apple II went on to be the largest selling computer in the history of the world, and still is. But we want to continually bring this experience of using a computer to more and more people. And we embarked upon a program approximately.
Okay, let's see. I just want to give a preview of that. You can see everything when you bring your DVD disc home. Let's see, but the one I want to, well, let's see. Let me show Wozniak. Oops. Yeah, this is Steve Wozniak at a much earlier age. I think he's close to my age today, but this is probably 30 years ago.
What we have been and what we are today is best represented by Steve Wozniak. His drive for simplicity, elegance, and cost-effectiveness have been at the heart of every Apple II ever made. There were times when people questioned Apple's future, and not too long ago, one of the things I remember people questioning was the future of the Apple II. Critics assumed that the technology was obsolete, but that's what's so remarkable about the Apple II and so new. It was a technology that could evolve, and that capacity for growing, for changing and yet staying the same, we owe to Steve Wozniak. Woz?
Thank you, Dell, and thank you to the audience for your applauding the great company you're a part of. People often ask me, when you held the first Apple World in the garage, did you think it would ever get this big? When I built the first Apple, I thought it'd be a neat machine for people like myself, people who were ham computer operators. I also thought it would help me do my engineering job better at Hewlett-Packard. I thought if I could design a computer for my own desk, then I wouldn't have to share a computer with the other engineers at HP. Finally, I developed the Apple because I thought it would be fun to have a computer that would play great games. Then something happened which changed my whole perspective on who would want this computer. VisiCalc was developed. I have to admit, I never thought someone would want a fast way to add up columns and rows and numbers, but it turned out a lot of people did. I started to learn something valuable then, something which is still true today. And that is that if you build a really good general purpose tool, and that's what a personal computer is, and make it available to lots of people, that unimaginable things can happen. Individuals will find ways to use that machine that you never.
Okay, with limited time available, I do want to show the entire speech by John Sculley because it is so totally focused on the Apple II. It was recorded in January of '89, and John Sculley says very strongly the Apple II should be continued in perfect parallel with the Macintosh, that the Mac appeals to people's business interests, but the Apple II appeals to people's personal interests. And he also introduces the 2C Plus, which is appropriate for this year's KansasFest. He pulls the 2C Plus from under his speaker's podium and holds it up like that, and he tells about all of its features. So let's see. Whoops. Oh, whoops, wait, there it is. Yeah, okay. So listen carefully to what he says. People hate Scully because he fired Jobs.
Well, these two major new product announcements
Apple II
are just the beginning. We expect that the 2C Plus is going to get very strong support from third-party developers, both hardware and software. We expect that there will be more enhancements in GSOS in the future. And we are still working on more Apple II CPUs. In fact, we expect to be able to introduce another Apple II CPU between a year and 18 months from now. The Apple II is alive and well. It has a distinct group of core loyalists with a following that is very broad in interests, from small business to entertainment, to education, to home office, to home productivity. And I think that what you will see here at AppleFest will be living proof of just how exciting the future is for the Apple II. Thank you very much.
Oh, wait.
I know how it is. I know the embarrassment. And
whoops. Somehow it only connected onto that near the end of his talk, darn it. Let's see. I'll pick something else. Or wait. Maybe that was number 10. Let me try this one.
Dynamic world where change is the norm, where there is a network of interdependencies between countries, where information moves instantaneously. In fact, all the ground rules are changing from what we have known in the past.
I think I started it on the wrong.
You know, we hear catchphrases from our presidential candidates of what they are
This one
against.
holds up the 2C+.
But what are they for? What are they for in the context of America's 21st century needs? We have a changing workforce, changing jobs for Americans in order to be able to compete in this global marketplace. But what are the education needs? What are the job training needs? What are the tools that all of us are going to need to be successful in the information age? And how will our lives and lifestyles be affected as we become part of this global dynamic economy? It is in this context that I think we can best understand Apple Computer back in 1977. Apple was a company that was founded on a vision that had its roots in the homebrew computer club, only miles from where we are today. The roots in a new generation that was perhaps too young for the 1960s, but still had revolutionary ideas. Roots in excitement of how changing society could be done in a positive way, and roots in focusing on empowering individuals and believing that individuals could actually make a difference in the world. The belief that individuals, not institutions, would be the key to the future. Now, this explains why I believe that the Apple II was the perfect product. It pushed technology beyond the limits of what conventional wisdom thought was possible. And it also gave individuals an incredible tool for the mind, pushing individual achievement beyond our natural abilities. It was a tool that ignited a revolution for individuals. It used high technology, and it showed us new ways of doing things. Now imagine yourself in the early days of Apple. The Apple II really was a revolutionary product because it was conceived from the perspective of the people who were going to be using it. It had a keyboard, built-in AppleSoft Basic so you could program it, slots for expansion and modification, manual so you could actually understand it, color, floppy disk drive. It was easier to use than any computer that anyone had ever seen. It was really the Model A of computing. It was the people's computer. Well, Apple II users were and are very special kinds of people. They've always been pioneers because they saw the importance of integrating personal computing into their daily environment. They saw the Apple II as a tool, that getting information and turning information into ideas was really important to them. And the result is that Apple II users have had a love affair with their product, just as the users of the Model A or the Model II or the early Ford tractor had a love affair with their product, or the users of the Volkswagen Beetle, a love affair with their product. We've seen a love affair with the Apple II, the II Plus, and now with the 2C and 2E and Apple II GS. There's such an incredible range of things that you can do with an Apple II. Remember Barney Clark, the courageous man who struggled to stay alive with an artificial heart? He did that with the help of an Apple II, which managed his artificial heart. You know that an Apple IIc has made it all the way to the top of Mount Everest, carried through that perilous climb. Remember the Voyager, the plane that flew nonstop around the world? Dick Rutan, who designed that, did it with the help of an Apple II. And in fact, he uses an Apple II today to support his pen plotter for aeronautical design. And you might be interested to know that when America returns to space with our next shuttle mission, Discovery, there'll be an Apple II GS on board because they will be testing how the computer system can operate in zero gravity conditions. The Apple II is truly a remarkable product. It's one that has touched many people's lives. I remember the story of a disabled accountant who took an Apple IIc and a modem, and they were able to continue their business from their home because they had this kind of tool to work with. There are students in a hospital in Galveston, Texas, who would otherwise be isolated from education, except they have Apple IIcs and Apple IIes and Apple II GSs, and this gives them a contact to the outside world. But one of the stories that I enjoy best is an experience that I had just months ago when I was traveling through the Far East on an extended trip. And at every location that I was in, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Singapore, Bangkok, I would be connected by electronic mail to what was going on back at Apple. And I remember when I arrived in Hong Kong, I saw 2 electronic mail messages for me from 2 children at the Lester School in Memphis, Tennessee, one of the Apple classrooms of tomorrow. And they said, "We hear that you're coming to Memphis to give a speech at the university, the medical school there, in Rhodes College. Is there any chance you could come and visit our school?" And I linked them back and I said, "Well, thanks for the invitation, but I just don't know how we can fit it into the schedule." And then I arrived in Tokyo, and this time I had 5 electronic mail messages. And I answered each one of them with the same request. Said, "I just don't know how I can do it." And then I arrived in Singapore, and I had 11 electronic mail messages. Well, by the time I got to about the 8th or 9th message, I said, "I better go see this school. You know, this is a bunch of very persistent young people." I went to the Lester School, school that is in the ghetto area, school that 2 years ago was at the bottom of the heap in terms of test scores, where children grew up without families in the sense that most of us are familiar with, surrounded by drugs, surrounded by poverty, no self-esteem with either the kids or the teachers. Yet the school I walked into was very different than what I had just described. I walked into a school where on the bulletin board, as you entered, the school was the names of parents who had signed up to participate in activities with this school and work with the students. Went up to the classrooms where kids were working with Apple IIs, and they were working with AppleWorks and were writing with it. And these were bright-eyed kids. They were interested in what they were doing. And the teachers had self-esteem. This was a proud school, and anyone who says that there are no solutions to America's education problem doesn't know what they're talking about. They just need to go see what we can do with the tools that we have today. This is what we haven't heard from our presidential candidates. And yet this is a good example of what is happening in the world because of a dream that started back in 1977. A dream to have a positive impact on society. A dream, a handful of young people, some of them still in their teens or early 20s. Well, Apple Computer makes 2 different families of computers, the Macintosh and the Apple II. They're 2 different styles of computing that dance well together. Macintosh 2s are used as programming tools for the Apple II GS. We now have joint networking between the Macintosh and the Apple II. And yes, we can even share peripherals between the 2 families. But they're also very different products. The Macintosh is one of the most advanced professional personal computer systems in the world. But its power is buffered from the user by an incredible user interface. To use an automobile analogy, it's an automatic transmission. I remember when I was a teenager and I was learning how to drive, and I learned how to drive on an old Chevy, stick shift Chevy. It's an experience that I'll never forget. In fact, I wish I still had that car because I felt in touch with the driving experience. And I think that that's a good analogy of what it's like to use an Apple II. It's like a stick shift car. It gives you the ability to shift down when you want to do it. You know you are in connection with the chips, in connection with the technology without buffers. It appeals to people who enjoy knowing how it works. This summer, when I was on sabbatical, I went to a photography school called the Maine Photographic Workshop. And I showed up with one of the fanciest, most advanced electronic programmable 35 millimeter cameras that you can imagine. It was only a few days later that I discovered that real photographers, people who...
I'm running low on time. When you get home with your disc, you can see the second half of his speech, and that's where he holds the 2C plus up over his head and tells all of the different changes that were made from the 2C. I wanted to show the video by Roger, let's see, what was his name? Roger Wagner. Let's see. Whoops, wait. Oh, whoops. Yeah, Roger, number 4, okay. Okay, so this will be the last one with Roger Wagner. Break up.
The VCR as a printer is an idea that I got kind of excited about a few years ago. When you start thinking about the fact that you can put sound and animations and videos and all that sort of thing on your computer screen, how do you capture that on paper? It's pretty difficult. So it turns out that every Apple II ever made has a little RCA jack in the back that you can plug right into your TV or VCR, and you just hit record, and you've got the whole thing captured. And it's a neat way schools can have a report that a kid did, for example, and send it home, or a kid at home could do a report instead of turning it on paper, put it on videotape, or make a little something, sort of imagine print shop on videotape where you could do a little greeting card, except have your voice there, do a little draw a picture or something, and then send it to grandma on a tape. When I started with HyperStudio, and we designed it originally 5 years ago, I thought that the buttons were the big deal, that you could decide whether you want to turn left or right first. It actually turns out that, as I saw what people were using it for, that the most exciting part of it is that not everybody is word-oriented. Not everybody is visual. Not everybody is auditory. But a lot of people are one of those or mixtures of. Being able to turn left or right is one thing. Being able to express yourself in a variety of formats is actually much more exciting. We did HyperStudio specifically for somebody at home where, grandma and a nephew come over and want to play on the computer and do a family tree or record some sounds, or you're in a classroom and you want to do a report on whales and you don't necessarily want to read a 400-page book called Hypermedia Made Easy. The GS has been and remains something very unique about it is that it is video friendly. If you saw the presentation this morning, the entire thing was done on an Apple II GS, and we were able to run the output right into a VCR. We have several products planned for HyperStudio on the GS, and in fact some things that have nothing to do with HyperStudio on the Apple II. That as long as people keep mailing in their registration cards and staying in contact, they'll be finding out fairly soon. Somewhere along the line, I think I one way or another, found myself in the position of being sort of the patron saint of the Apple II, I guess, after St. Woz, of course. But he has really a higher level of deification, I think. But I will say that the neat thing about the Apple IIs now is that anybody that's looking for basic functionality The fact that you can buy clip art discs and for $30 get hundreds of clip art images. If you look at what that would cost on any other platform for somebody at home, it's a great deal. For the conference we're doing this summer, we're having a Hyper Studio conference in San Diego. Bring the kids, bring the dog, bring everybody. We went out and bought 20 Apple II GS computers for our lab. Cost us about $550 a piece, and it was a bargain. Anybody looking for a cost-effective way of doing home computing, you can't beat an Apple II.
We're introducing some new products for the Apple II market. We have essentially hard cards, the term essentially originated from the
People ask me, where do I get my ties? And with the exception of this one, which was actually paid for, I have to say it takes a great deal of work. I usually have to comb, usually 5 or 10 Salvation Armies in a weekend to find just the right ambiance for the image that we try and portray.
Well, you're fairly notorious for your ties. So how did that all start anyway?
Well, it actually started right here in this very building. I was coming to a show, and I actually think that there was a requirement for some reason. I was at an Apple booth or something, and I'm not sure they said we had to wear ties, but something was going on and we were supposed to wear ties. I don't exactly remember what the deal was, but I thought, well, I didn't want to be mistaken for an IBM salesman. So I went and found this tie that was like a bright green with scuba divers that were bright yellow on it, and I had a small camcorder battery in my pocket just to keep the whole thing, up to proper power level. And then the next show I came to somewhere, somebody said, well, where's the tie? And so then I wore a tie the next day. Well, then the third day, I wore the same tie that I'd worn a while ago, and they recognized it. And they said, that's the same tie you wore before. And I said, I didn't know I was in the Princess Die You Can Only Wear It Once contest. So I found that I sort of got sucked into having to buy a new tie for every single show. So now my closet has, all my possessions have been shoved out onto the street as tie after tie fill my house.
Is there a theme to your ties? Is there something that ties all the ties together?
Yes, as a matter of fact, there is a tie that ties all the ties together. I try and find things, not too surprisingly, that remind me of what could it be? Multimedia. So you'll notice whenever you look at my ties, they always have some wild and crazy thing happening with lots of bright colors and lots of things going on.
All right, now that's a wrap.
Oh,
Here we are at the Bill Graham Convention Center, located downtown San Francisco, otherwise known as the Apple II Expo, where the Apple II enthusiasts have come today to find.
Okay, well, I'm out of time, so I'll finish right now. But remember that on the disc that you've got, most of it you haven't seen at all. This is really just introductory sampling at the beginning. I wish there was time to include the end of Scully's speech, because he holds up the 2C Plus and tells how it's superior to the ordinary 2C. But watch all the rest of it at home. The sound will be clear and the picture is also very clear. So, and also if you have any DVDs at home from those earlier years between 77 to 88, please mail them to me. My address is on the cover here, and I will make a DVD copy and return the original promptly back to you, the owner. Thank you. Okay. Pardon me, wait, what was the question again?
It looks like some of those are excerpts from videotapes. Have the full videotapes been archived anywhere?
Well, of course, I've got the originals that these came from, and I would say most of them were the full length of the video. The Scully speech was probably a total of an hour and 15 minutes, so I only included 21 minutes of the main part about Apple II. And I felt that the Scully speech should be played because I know Scully's sort of controversial. If you've seen the movies about Steve Jobs, Scully sometime fired Jobs, I think. And so people hate him for that. But in terms of loyalty to the Apple II, he couldn't say it any stronger than what he did. You know, I am just amazed. He was president of Apple, or CEO of Apple, from 84 to 94, and this recording was halfway through his time, but Apple II did get phased out, so it might have been over his objection. I think it was Jobs that mostly was Mac oriented, wasn't it? And then Woz was mostly Apple II oriented. Yeah, so he was closer to Woz, I guess. Okay, thank you for watching.
Yeah, so I guess we'll take a look and see what questions there are. Certainly people were appreciating seeing the old videos, and oh yeah, and you're holding up the slide that gives your information for old, particularly the earliest videos.
Okay. Yeah, I did you can see my presentation at YouTube. It has everything. It was really just a preview of what's on my DVD video discs. And I'll be happy to send the disc to everybody who is watching online. I've got my address here on this one. You could send a postcard or a letter and I can mail it to you. Or you can go to the KansasFest discussion thing. Let's see, it is at kfest@groups.io, and you could just send me a message and I'll mail you this disc. It's 2 full hours long, and I think the quality is excellent. The picture, the video is very clear, and the sound is very clear as well, and I'll send this to everybody. What this is about is, I think that I have about enough video features to add up to maybe 40 or 45 minutes that I'd want KansasFest to see again. But if you have any DVD, or pardon me, VHS videos during the era of 77 to 88, please mail them to me. Within 2 weeks, I will have it mailed back to you. I will simply transfer it to DVD, and then from that, I can compile a second one. But I think if we could get those earlier years, you'll find that even more interesting than the middle years that are on this video. There's 17 tracks on this video. The oldest 2 that are on there are 1984. But I think if we could get some more from those early years, I could compile a second DVD disc in the same way.
Where did you find the videos that you have included so far? Where did those come from?
Oh, well, almost all of them were on the giveaway tables from previous years, but I should admit that I only started collecting those DVDs from the giveaway tables at KansasFest. I think the earliest that I started grabbing those was 2017. And so I was here 2017, 2018, and then 2019 I was here also, and then 2023 and 2022. This time there weren't any DVDs to be collected. That was one of the first things I looked for on the tables. But if anybody, let's see, 2 of the sources were not from VHS videos. They were from Hollywood movies. Like, one of them was called, it was 1984 movie, and the title was 2010, The Year We Made Contact. Okay, it's a sequel to 2001: A Space Odyssey. The other one was a movie called Contact, and the Apple IIc is seen in the distance of, it shows a huge astronomy laboratory with a lot of electronic equipment, and the IIc was far away on that one, but it is included, so it's worked its way into my compilation.
One question was, have you managed to get a hold of any people that are in the videos? Have you tried to do that?
Let's see. Mostly, I don't think I would know their contact
Mhm.
addresses. I mean, like if something was, say, a video from 30 years ago, a lot of people have moved during that time period, so it'd be sort of hard to contact them. Let's see. I do have Wozniak's address because when Wozniak was here in 2013, he passed out his business cards to everybody here. And the business card shows his home address in Los Gatos, California. My own family home is Sunnyvale, California. Brother still lives in that house. And he said Wozniak has been seen playing what is it, polo on those ride around things at a park just a block away from my family house. I myself have only met him in 2013 when he came here to Kansas Fest.
Forrest says that there was an apple in the Hunt for Red October, the movie The Hunt for Red October. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know about that. I mean, it'd be nice to, let's see, I'll make a note of that. And if I do get enough Lent VHSs to add up to 2 full hours, I will certainly add Red to October. What kind of apple was it? Was it a 2C?
Forrest didn't say, so I'm not sure. But
Oh, one thing I forgot to mention on my live presentation in Springfield is that if you watch these 17 selections, you will see the Apple 2C or 2C Plus on 5 out of 17. I can't
excellent.
remember if there were any Apple 2Es or 2GSs, but there were quite a few 2Cs. And that one on selection number 2, that movie called 2010, The Year We Made Contact, that movie was produced the very same year when the 2C was introduced. Although the guy has the computer out on a beachfront with no power supply and no car battery running the thing. It's a view of the computer from the side. But he did get a hold of one of those flat screens that are worth a tremendous amount as a rare item for the 2C. You're viewing the 2C from the side view on a beach.
This actually makes a fairly good connection to Eric's question, which is, do you still make the bug bricks? The 2C power supplies?
Let's see, I still make the little ones for the 2C, and they're now entirely Toshiba. Toshiba is my favorite Japanese company. Well, what I like about the Toshiba power supplies, they standardize the Toshiba laptops on DC 15 volts, which is exactly what the 2C technical reference book recommends. When I've sold these on eBay, I even include a photocopy from the 2C technical manual that says repeatedly DC 15 is the optimum voltage for the 2C. Now, it also says that 2C can operate on DC voltages between 20 volts down to 9 volts. But why not have the most optimized voltage? And that's what the Toshiba power supply produces. By the way, there's another thing that I did with the 2C that I haven't done for many years, but you could do it. I have them that have 75 watts output, and I also have some that have 90 watts output. And what I did is I made some Y connectors with the 90 watt voltage, so you could run simultaneously 2Cs all from a single power supply. I think that when I come next year, the 2025 Kansas Fest, I will bring one of those for show and tell, because there is so much surplus power in these power supplies. You got to remember that white brick that Apple supplied as its low-tech power supply when the 2Cs were brand new. That thing only produced 18 to 25 volts. It's marked on the casing. But since some of these laptop power supplies go all the way up to 90, I bet you could even run 3 of them simultaneously. I never tried that, but running 2Cs simultaneously, the power supply did not even get warm. That white colored brick that came with the 2Cs from 1984, that thing got hot even when running 1 2C. But the great thing about these Toshiba power supplies, the voltage is fully regulated, meaning that it gives 15 volts even when not connected to the load. See, like that white brick, it'll go up to maybe 25 volts if you don't have a computer connected to it. So I would say these Toshiba power supplies about the best that you can get. They don't create heat, and they are optimized with regulation so that it is exactly 15 volts.
Okay, great. So I think we're basically out of time, but I guess we'll see you at the next Kansas Fest if you want
I
to.
look forward to it. It's a beautiful campus and big lawns everywhere. We don't get that in New Mexico. We don't get enough water, and well, I think the high elevation slows down grass growth, but the campus, the dorms were excellent. Everything about it was a positive thing. Okay, see you next summer.